theoretical part, and this is the time for your project. And today we are going to learn about the project, and this also should give you a clear idea to select one of the project idea for your own project to submit by Monday. So today the project I chose today is gas detecting alarm system. So let me share my screen now. So I'll show you how it works, and then I'll show you a presentation PPT regarding how the gas sensor works and all the software technical part. So let me share my screen now. So this is Tinkercad. So this is already a sample project. We will be building this project from the scratch. So I'm showing it to you now because you'll get a clear idea about what you're going to do. So here we have a gas sensor, and here we have an LCD display, and here we have Arduino board, and this is a buzzer. We also have two LEDs. One is red LED, and another one is green. So if there is no gas in the room, or if there is no toxic gas, and we are in a safe room, the green LED starts glowing, and we'll get a safe message here. If there is some toxic gas in the room, the red LED starts glowing, and this buzzer will be set to high. This will give out the sound of high frequency, and you will be getting an alert message here. So let's see this in action. We have the code part right here. So if you start the simulation, this says safe and all clear, this liquid crystal display, and also the green LED is on here, is set to high here. When we click the gas sensor, we will get virtual gas. So if you bring it closer to the sensor, yeah, the buzzer goes on, and you can see a alert message here. And also if you see, this LED will be set to high. You can see it one more time. Yeah, it's pretty loud actually. You can change its frequency in the code. So this is the code. We'll be writing it from the beginning, don't worry. And this is the serial monitor. So this will print the values of the concentration of gas around the sensor. If this value crosses 400, we have set this in our program. See here. If this value crosses 400, then it senses danger, and all of this, and we are alerted by the system. So I'm stopping the simulation, and let me move on to PPT. So we have our PPT here, and yeah. So the project one, it's a gas detecting alarm system using gas sensor and buzzer. So the reason I chose this project is because all the projects we have done in the past, you may not implement them directly into your daily life. Like we have photoresistor, servo motor. You cannot implement them directly in your daily life. You need to put some mounts on it, or you need to model them yourself to meet your own daily needs. But whereas this gas detecting alarm system, if all the parts of this project are available to you in your home, and if you're able to assemble this project and write a proper code for it, then you will be putting it into direct use by attaching it to your ceiling or some room. And this also has some wide range of applications, so that is why I chose this project. And it's also pretty easy for you, and you can understand it very clearly. So let's start with the presentation. So what is a gas sensor? A gas sensor is an electronic device which detects dangerous gas leaks in the industrial areas. So this is pretty obvious, right? So we use this in numerous applications, like in our offices or in our hotel rooms, and importantly in mines. We have people working underground, right? So they exposed to toxic gases all the time, so they need this. And the second point, this unit detects 300 to 5000 ppm of natural gas. The ppm means parts per million. It's also a unit of concentration. So this unit detects 300 to 5000 ppm, which means these are let me show you. Yeah, this is the concentration. of the gas around it. So this is the range in which it can detect. So it has good sensitivity to combustible gas in wide range. That's also a good point. And also uh, we have high sensitivity to propane, butane, LPG. So the thing with these gas sensors is we have wide range of gas sensors. You have methane gas sensor, and you have propane and butane, which means you also have an alcohol sensor actually. This also will be using the breath analyzer by the traffic police. I mean, slight application of it. And also there are different model numbers, and those model numbers correspond to different gases in which can be detected by this gas sensor. So these have long life and low cost. These are actually low cost. You can buy one for like 200 rupees, I guess, on Amazon. I've just checked it, and it's a simple drive circuit. So let's look at the construction of this gas sensor. The most commonly used gas sensor is the metal oxide semiconductor based gas sensor. So this metal oxide semiconductor means uh, we use tin dioxide SnO2. We use tin dioxide in this gas sensor. So SnO2 is a metal oxide, right? So we'll be using that sensor here, metal oxide semiconductor based gas sensor. And all gas sensors will consist of a sensing element which comprises of the following parts. So the sensing element is really very important because this is what senses whether the gas is toxic enough or not. So this is really a very important part. So it has 5 important parts, which are the gas sensing layer, the heater coil, the electrode line, the tubular ceramic, and electrode. So we'll look at all of them in our coming slides into detail, and we'll also look at the working about like what happens exactly. What happens exactly is when it detects the gas immediately, uh, it actually contains a variable resistor. So when the resistance varies, it develops a potential difference between its electrodes. So that potential difference alerts us. It gives us a value which is the concentration of the gas. So it says, here you are surrounded by, let's say, 500 ppm concentration of gas in the room in which you're staying. So be careful. So the whole job is done by the sensing element, which changes its resistance, and you will understand why. So in the previous slide, you have seen these 5 parts, right? You can see all those 5 parts in this presentation, in this slide. The below image illustrates the parts present in a metal oxide gas sensor. So let's start with the gas sensing layer. So this is the gas sensing layer. You can see crossed layer, this one. So this is the gas sensing layer. SnO2 means tin dioxide, and also uh, we have this heater coil, which is made up of nickel and chromium, and we have two electrodes, actually two electrode lines, which is both are made of platinum. We'll see those used in a couple of minutes. And this is the electrode which is made of gold, and they have the same heater coil. And one more important part we have here is between these two layers, this is the gas sensing layer, right? And this is the heater coil. So in between the heater coil and the gas sensing layer, we have this tubular ceramic, which is made up of aluminum oxide. So in the next slide, you will be knowing all of this in detail. So let's talk about the first important component, which is the gas sensing layer. Gas sensing layer is the main component in the sensor which can be used to sense the variation in the concentration. So this point is very important, to sense the variation in the concentration of the gases and generate the change in electrical resistance. So if there is any change in the concentration of gas surrounding the whole sensor, that is given by the value that is shown by the change in the electrical resistance. So if there is a change in electrical resistance, this in turn gives us a voltage which tells us if the room is safe or not. The gas sensing layer is basically a chemi-resistor which changes its resistance value based on the concentration. See, 2 days back we have seen the photoresistor, right? Like if you put it in a dark room, the resistance of the photoresistor increases, and if you put in a bright room, the resistance decreases. So it's a variable resistor. So this is a chemi-resistor, which, by the name it suggests regarding some chemical. So when there is any chemical change or a change in any concentration of any chemical component, so its resistance gets changed. So here the sensing element is made up of tin dioxide. I'll tell you why tin dioxide, which is in general has, here we have, has excess electrons. So we have learned the modern physics subject in our high school physics, which has n-type semiconductors and p-type semiconductors. We can recall that concept. N-type semiconductors are rich of electrons. They are donor elements. So this tin right here,
Rohit,
yes,
if you don't mind, sorry for interrupting you. If you don't mind, could you please check if your sender settings of the recording settings were 720 pixels or not, so that the recording will be quite in a good quality.
okay, sure. Actually, I set it at 720. I mean, isn't it visible? I mean,
Okay.
the whole presentation.
No, no, no. I'm just confirming it with you. Did you set it to 720 pixels already?
Yeah, yes. I mean, how is the quality now?
Sure.
Is it okay?
It's fine, Rohit. It's fine. It's fine. It's just a confirmation. That's it. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So let us resume our session. Yeah. So where were we? Yeah, it's the n-type semiconductor. So it has excess of electrons, and we'll see in detail how the whole thing works. So we'll get a clear understanding. So whenever toxic gases are being detected, the resistance of the element changes. See, the resistance of the element changes, and the current flowing through it varies, which represents the change in concentration of gases. So if the concentration of the gas surrounding the sensor is high, then more number of electrons would flow, which in turn generates more current, which gives us a higher value. So if less concentration, then vice versa. The next important component is the heater coil. So the purpose of the heater coil is to burn in the sensing element, so that see, we have the sensing element, which is the gas sensing layer. So this heater coil burns up, it increases the temperature of this gas sensing layer, so it works more efficiently, so that the sensitivity and efficiency of the sensing element increases. So it is made up of nickel and chromium. So why nickel and chromium? Because it has high melting point. So no matter to how high temperatures you heat these nickel and chromium, it doesn't melt because it has high melting point. So that's why we are using nickel and chromium for this heater coil. So if you heat semiconductors, semiconductors tend to exhibit good behavior, I mean good conduction behavior, when exposed to temperature. So temperature is really an important factor to make the semiconductor work. This is the basic point which you have learned in high school physics. So this is electrode line. So let me take you back to the slide. I'll show you what is the electrode line. So this right here, I mean beneath this we have the electrode lines. See, two electrode lines, this and this. These are made up of platinum. So as the sensing element produces a very small current. So as you know, semiconductors, they are not highly conductive nor insulative. So we have very small current which is generated, very small electrons going on from the valence band to the conduction band. So when the gas is detected, it is more important to maintain the efficiency of carrying the small currents. So to carry these small currents, you need to use a very good material. So that is why we use platinum wires as electrode lines. And next we have electrode. It is a junction where the output of the sensing layer is connected to the electrode line. So we have this sensing layer, right? And this black thing right here, this is the electrode, which is made up of gold because it's really good conductor. Au is gold. Yeah. Aurum, which is a very good conductor. And we have tubular ceramic. This is the tubular ceramic, which is made up of aluminum oxide. In between the heater coil and the gas sensing layer, we have this tubular ceramic exists, which is made up of aluminum oxide, and it is also used for heating purpose. And see, we have high melting point. It's maintaining the burn in temperature, and we have the mesh over this sensing element. So I showed you in Tinkercad, right? So it has some small holes like a netted kind of structure. So this sensor should be protected from the whole environment because it's very sensitive. You can't afford to do any damage to the actual sensor. So you need to have a physical layer above it to protect the sensor from any kinds of physical damage from outside. So this mesh doesn't do anything special. It's just for protection of the sensor. Let's go to the next slide. So this explanation is really very important. So gas sensor working. The ability of gas sensor to detect gases depends on the chemiresistor. As I said, this changes resistance, which in turn helps the flow of current. The most commonly used chemiresistor is tin dioxide, which is an n-type semiconductor. As I said, that has free electrons. So normally the atmosphere will contain more oxygen than combustible gases. So we, like, literally every creature on this earth has we are all touched by oxygen, right? Oxygen molecules on our skin and the whole body. Every object is touched by oxygen. So let me show you what really happens. Let me take a pen. Yeah, let's say this is the SnO2 molecule. This is SnO2. This is SnO2, and this is the n-type semiconductor, which means it's an electron donor. So more number of free electrons are available. So free electrons are available inside. So everything is okay. And outside of this molecule, we have oxygen, right? So oxygen is attached to every molecule, right? It is safe. So let me represent those oxygen molecules or electrons of the oxygen molecules as blue color. These are on the surface of every SnO2 molecule right here. Now what happens is these oxygen molecules, see, these are free electrons, right? So these oxygen molecules attract these free electrons. So these go upward like this, and these get attached right here. So let me show you again. Let me draw it again. SnO2. So these will accumulate right here. These are tightly bonded with the oxygen atoms now. Again, blue color. Yeah, we have oxygen molecules right here. The electrons of the oxygen molecules. So these are tightly bound. So what happens when any toxic gas enters right here? Like when this whole system is exposed to any toxic gas, what happens is, let me represent the toxic gas with orange or yellow color. So let's say this is a toxic gas we have in our outer atmosphere. So what this does is it breaks the chemical bond between these electrons. So these attack right here, directly right here, these toxic substances. These break the chemical bond between these two electrons. So these get detached. So this chemical bond really breaks because of the toxic substance. And what happens is all the free electrons come back again. They become free electrons again. So these free electrons now are in a random state, and these go and they conduct current now. So these electrons are broken by these toxic substances, and these are ready for the conduction of current. So this current helps us to detect this toxic substance. So this must be clear for you now. And when the sensor is placed in the toxic or combustible gas environment, this reducing gas reacts with the absorbed oxygen particles and breaks the covalent bond. As I said, it breaks the covalent bond between the oxygen and free electrons, thus releasing the free electrons. This is very important. These help in making the whole system work as the free electrons are back to its initial position. So this is about the working actually. So actually you need not study too deep because we are not manufacturing a gas sensor. We are engineering. I mean, we are trying to put this gas sensor to use actually. So you need to know how to make those connections and all. Let's see. So how to use a gas sensor. So this is how a gas sensor looks in real life. A basic gas. See, this is the mesh we have on top of it. As I said, a basic gas sensor has six terminals, out of which four, see, these are four terminals, A, B, B, acts as input or output. These can be act as input or output. So here we are dealing with input actually, because some gas falls on this sensor, it detects it, so it's an input. And two sensors we have H and H. As I told you about the heating coil, these are used for heating the sensor, I mean heating the sensing element. So one sensor, see, you will connect it to power. Let me show you. So one sensor will connect it to power to 5 volts, and another sensor will ground it. And this is how it looks like. So MQ4, see, this number actually defines. So when you Google it, it actually means that the kind of gas it detects, it only detects certain kinds of gases like methane and all. So you have 6 terminals in total. So 4 are for input or output, and 2 are for heating the sensing element. So we have, as I said, we have VCC power supply, the GND ground, Also power supply pin, we'll connect it to ground. You have the digital output. This pin gives an output either in logical high or logical low, 0 or 1. But we don't want digital output, right? We want the exact concentration of the gas falling on the sensor. Let's say the toxic substances has 400 ppm concentration. It's not 0 or 1, right? It's a variable value. So we use analog output, which gives a wide range of values. So what are the applications of gas sensors? These are pretty obvious. These are used in industries to monitor the concentration of the toxic gases. Yes, we have a lot of fire accidents and gas accidents which are happening in Visakhapatnam also. And actually, manufacturing these are equally important with maintaining these. I mean, you need to use sensors which give you an accurate value to ensure the safety of both the employers and as well the faculty. Used in households to detect an emergency incidents. We also use this in our households. It also used at oil rig locations to monitor the concentration of gases those are released. And if you stay at a hotel room, you can see it on the ceiling. Basically, used at hotels to avoid customers from smoking. Yeah, the no smoking zone. Used in air quality check at offices. It is also used in air conditioners to improve the CO2 levels. It's also used in detecting fire as smoke. We also get smoke right from it, and it's also used in breath analyzer. And this is the very important thing. It is also used to check concentration of gases in mines. So in our experiment, we will also be creating an alarm system along with our project also tells us the concentration of the gases. So we will be dealing with two things. And as I've shown you, if you remember what I've shown you, I've also shown you a liquid crystal display, LCD display. So let us discuss about this LCD display. So this is a 16 by 2 LCD module. So why it's 16 by 2? It has 16 columns. This is columns, 16 columns. And these are rows. 2 is number of rows, 2 rows and 16 columns. So you will be getting 16 columns. I'll show you, and 2 rows. And you have a couple of ports right here. Let's look into it. So we have the VSS, which is the ground pin, and you also have the power pin, power port. So let's see. I think I also got a. I got some doubt. No sharing the screen. So is my screen not shared? Screen sharing stopped. Wait, let me see. Can you see my screen now? Hello? If yes, then please type yes in the chat box. Can you see it now? Thank you. So you can see it now, right? I mean, I put it to full screen. Okay. So this is an 16 by 2 LCD module. And yeah, we are talking about the pin ports right here. So this is the ground port, and this is the power port, VDD. And this is a contrast. So if you want to increase the contrast or the clarity of the messages displayed here, you can connect this pin to a potentiometer. You can you have a turnable knob, right? You can change those values on the potentiometer, and in turn you will get the contrast. You can change the contrast on the screen. And next we have a set of 3 controls. These are control pins. One is register select, and read write and enable. Generally you will put this to write mode, right? So generally this read or write mode is grounded, is connected directly to ground. And this enable is, so all these pins are connected to corresponding digital pins actually. And next, let's see what we have here. We have 8 data pins actually for establishing 8-bit communications, data pin 0 to data bit 7. So one easy way is we need not use all the 8 ports for our project. We can use at least 4 ports because 4-bit communication is sufficient actually. And so if you want to use only 4, you must use 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll be using D4, D5, D6, D7, and we have LED positive and LED negative, which are anode and cathode of the LCD display. So liquid crystal library. So to make this LCD work, thanks to the Arduino, we have all the libraries which are included in this header file. Hash include liquidcrystal.h. So this library allows an Arduino board to control LCD display based on Hitachi. So this is the chipset actually used in LCD display, which is found on most text-based LCD. And this is the point I've told you. The library works with in either 4 or 8-bit mode using 4 or 8 data lines in addition to the RS, which is the register select, enable, and any 4 data lines. So you have a couple of functions. See, I already provided the links here. If I share this PPT, you will be able to see a clear description of all the functions. That won't be a problem. So you have the liquid crystal function. You have the begin function. See, we have serial.begin, right? So we can also write a function similar to lcd.begin. So which starts configuring our LCD display. Clear function. So if there is any text already on the LCD, you can clear them by using the clear function. Home function is also similar to clear function. The set cursor. Let's say if you want to start typing, if you want your text to display in 4th column and 2nd row, so you can set 4, 2 values in this set cursor function. And also we have write and print. We'll be using print function right here. And yeah, we have, see this function right here. This is the liquid crystal function. Take a screenshot or memorize this function because we'll be using it. And there are actually multiple syntaxes of this liquid crystal function. This is one way of writing this function. So we have rs. The first parameter we give rs, which means rs is connected to which pin. This can be 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 13. So read, write, enable, and d4, d5, d6, and d7. So this is the type of syntax we'll be using in our project. So this is as per the theory part. So if you are ready, let's move on to the practical part and start implementing our code and our project. Yes, okay. So let's start the simulation. So I suggest you all to be ready with your Tinkercad dashboard so we can start building the circuit together. So this is the system I have been talking about. So look at all the connections I have made. I will build this circuit from start. Don't worry. So see, we have the pins ground, power, contrast, which can be connected to a potentiometer, register select, and read, write, enable, and all. And we ignored these pins 0 to 3. If you connect, that won't be a problem. 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are connected to digital ports. See, these are connected to digital ports 8, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So in these ports we connected. See, let me zoom it for you. These ports are for the LED. This is ground pin, as you know, and this part right here. See, you have these two are for the LEDs, and this one is for the buzzer. 4 is for buzzer. And we have 5, 6. We have started connecting right from 5, 6. So this is our basic. This is how our project looks like. So if you are ready, let's start building a new circuit. As you have seen this, let's move back. So this is the code. You can take a glimpse of it. This code is going to be easy because we are not going to use any functions. It is going to be very simple and intuitive. You can understand this very easily. So let me move back. Actually, you can connect it more clearly actually. I mean, to make it look more beautiful, but I've done it in a more messy kind of situation. So we have new circuit. So as usual, let us bring the Arduino board into the picture. This is the Arduino board. Let's bring the breadboard. We'll be using a lot of components in this project. So I suggest you to do that. And we need a gas sensor, which is our main component. Bring it and put it some random place. And we have resistors. We need to use couple of resistors. We need two LEDs. And let us bring the LCD display, liquid crystal display. Yes. So first, let's make connections with the breadboard, and then the audio would be quite easier. So let's start. Take any random power pin, connect it to power as usual. The basic setup, as I've told you a couple of days back. Power pins, you set it to red. That would be a good convention. Take one of the ground pins. Do this simultaneously with me so that you can get a clear understanding, because this is also your final project which you will be doing it together. You also should be submitting it the one on your own. So you have the power and the ground. We also need to make use of, so let me connect those two also. Let's say I think someone's mic is on actually. I think no. Okay. I think fine. So this power port to this power port. So we are ready with the basic setup actually. So let's start LCD display because there are more number of connections here, right? So let's start here. So the first one is the ground port. So we need to connect this row. So let's bring it. Let me to back. So it's ground, right? And the power port. Let me change that to red. And then we have contrast pin. So if you want to change the contrast, you can use button is quietly, that is actually optional here. So if you connect it to ground, this contrast pin, you'll get a higher contrast by default. So let's connect this to ground. So this port is here nearer to this, right? Let's connect this to ground. And the next pin we have is the register select pin. Connect with the port 5. You can choose any port. Let us choose 5. And then we have a read write pin. So this can be actually to connect it to ground, by default it will be write mode because we're writing something to the LCD, right? So yeah, we're connecting it to ground as usual. Let me connect this to ground. So grounded, so black again. So this enable pin, this should be connected to a digital pin. Let's connect it to 6. Need to make these connections look clearer. 5 and 6 done. And we have we have db0, db1, db2, db3. As I said, we need 4-bit communication. We don't need 8-bit communication right here. 4-bit connections are suffice. So let's use let's connect these from 8, 9, 10, 11. So db4 right here. Yeah, that goes 8. db5, can bring this directly down if that would be a problem. This go to 9. See, this won't interrupt your LCD display. Before, wait a minute. Yeah, db5 is also done. It's getting highlighted. And db6 goes to 10. And we have 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is 6. Yeah, done. 7. I'm getting really confused, like if you have done it already or not. So this goes to 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So this is done. db7. So we are left with two things. Anode and cathode goes to power, and cathode goes to ground. So before connecting it directly to the power, as you know, we need to connect these things to to a resistance to prevent them from drawing more current than usual. So let's connect these to, wait. Let me delete this wire. Let me do this in a neat way. LED anode. Let me put it all the way in the end actually to make it look more clearer. Yeah, as I said, we need to bring in the resistor. Yeah, this is the resistor. Now let's make the connection with the LED anode. Fine. The whole thing is an LED cathode to ground. Yeah. So we are done with the LCD display. You can do it much more cleaner. So this is power and this is ground. Let us verify for one more time. Yeah, this is to power. This black wire to ground. And all the things are set up quite perfectly. Yeah. Now let's bring in the gas sensor to picture. Yeah. As I told you, it has 6 pins. 4 of them are for input and output, and 2 of them are heating the sensing coil. So H1 and H2. So one should go with power. So when this goes with power, it should be connected with the suitable resistance, which is very important. So let's connect this with suitable resistance. Let's see where. uh, yeah, bring in another resistor. Let me invert it. I guess you're doing this simultaneously with me. So this actually goes to power. So as I said, before going to power, we need to connect it to a resistor. Yeah, as it's power, let's make it red to avoid confusion. Red. So for input, actually we are using this as an input, right? Because it's a sensor. We need values. We are using analog input because we are not using digital input because it will give us only two values, either 0 or 1, or 0 or high, low or high. We don't want that. We also want the concentration of the gas. So the concentration of the gas, as I said, some are able to detect around 300 to 5000 ppm concentration. So that is actually not a digital numbers, right? Those are analog outputs. So we will use analog input here, right? So let's use one pin for let's use only two pins. So the other two pins can be set to power. So I'm using pin B1 and B2. So B1 I'll set it to one of the analog pin because it's sensing some value, right? So let me set this to one of the analog pin. Let's say A0. You can set it to any of the pin, and the other pin, and this is the heating pin, right? So heating pin's anode is connected to power, and another one to ground. Where is the ground? Yeah. So this would be black. Actually, I guess, yeah, there's been a slight mistake. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So let's delete this and actually delete this actually. Actually, the ground, I mean, the ground part should be connected to the resistor. You have connected the power part to clear up the space. Let's connect it to ground pin. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Let's make it black. This is ground. This is not power actually. Yeah, this is the power pin H1. H2 is the ground pin. These both belong to the heating. Yeah, we give it red color, and this thing would be good going. Yeah, the other part would directly go to ground. Yeah, let's make it black. Talk powering the analog signals. So this goes for analog input, and output you have connected it to ground, and this is the heating part. One for the power and another one for the ground, and the remaining two pins are kept unused, right? You can connect them to power. They can be used for digital things, but we're not using it. So these will be going to power. Yeah. So that would be our circuit for now, right? Alarm to ring our alarm. Let's search for piezo. This is called piezo buzzer. Let's bring it right here. So one part, one terminal would go directly to one of the digital pins, let's say 4. We have 4 right here, right? We can connect this to 4. Yeah, D fine. Other one can go to ground with some suitable resistance. Wait, let me delete it. Let's bring another resistor. Actually, you don't need resistors as this is a simulation. Even though if there is any problem, the simulator manages by itself. But it's really a good practice to use resistors because you will, when you do it in real life, you may face a problem. So that's why I'm using resistors. But if you don't use in the simulation, that won't be a problem. You will only have a problem while. But as per the safety part, safety concerns regarding the board, your board will be safe as it's a virtual thing. Yes, let me put it black. Yes, we also need two LEDs, as I've said. One for yeah. Let's make it green for the safe LED. Let's connect two random places on our. Yeah, this is the anode part. We need two resistors now. Yeah, for LEDs, as I told you, what's the value? If you remember it, it's 220 ohms, right? I also told you the reason finds the Ohm's law because this gives 20 milliamperes of current. So if you want the watt resistor, if you want to use, if you want to find out that value, you can use Ohm's law to do that. Okay, the cathode should be grounded. So let's connect this here. So these are internally connected. So let's connect it to 2. Yeah, still pin D2 right there. Yes. Two D right there. There's no place, that's why I've done that. And here we have cathode, right? Cathode should be grounded. Ground, where is ground? So yeah, yeah, black. There has been a mistake, I guess. No, 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 no. Yeah, task as I've shown it before. So I get done assembling the circuit because if you find any difficulty until here, you can ask me in the chat box. Connections are really for you to give the out. That is why. In the meanwhile, let's verify with the sample circuit which I have told you. So let me name it our project 1. Project 1. Yeah, okay. In this, yeah, project 1. Fine. So I haven't written any code. Let's set it to text. We'll write it now. And after writing the code, I would use so that you just want to verify if all the paths are good. I mean, I have already done it in a sample project. So let's see if I'm right with all the things. So this is the sample one, right? Let me refresh this actually. Yeah, this is the project one which we have done now. This is the sample one. Yeah, this looks quite neat and the same. Yeah, I think there has been a mistake here actually. We have connected the ground part of the heating pin with the resistor. but the ground part of the analog counterpart goes with the resistor. So let's do that. There's been a mistake. Let's go back and change it. Everything is fine, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is here. Let's connect this to let's put it black, and this one we need to connect it through a resistor. And this really need high resistance to work out, because very small currents will be detected by the gas sensor, right, as it's a semiconductor. So 1 kilo ohm won't be sufficient, I guess. It would be sufficient if the gas is too nearer, or to make it more sensitive, let's increase to, let's say you can put it 3 or 4. Let's put it 5. In the previous circuit I used 4.7, I guess. You can use 5, I guess. Let's check if 5 works out. Yeah, 5.
Rohit, I think few people are asking to repeat the LED connections and to explain once again.
Yes, can you explain it 1 second? Tell once already. Yeah, sure. Yeah, after connecting this, I'll tell you. This goes to ground again. Let's make it black. Okay, black again. So you need the LCD connections. Okay, LCD connections and so the new things we have seen in this project is the gas sensor and the LCD display. This buzzer we have already seen in the home intruder system, so that won't be a problem. So let me zoom this so that you can get a clear idea. So let me tell you about all the pins. We have the ground pin, we have the power, one port for the power supply, one port for the V0. This is the contrast pin. See, it says contrast. Another one says register select. So it can store some, it can control some register on the Arduino. It need to display something, right? So it's like a temporary register inside the Arduino. And read write pin, we don't need this pin. That's why we connect it to ground. This is the enable pin, and enable pin to make it work actually. DB0, DB1, DB2, DB3. We'll use these pins along with these pins. We'll use total 8 pins when we need 8-bit communication. But we don't need 8-bit communication here. I mean that will be used in only rare cases. So we'll be using only 4-bit communications because it's very simple and we can make it possible with it. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Don't connect anything to them. So 4, 5, and 6, 7. The last 4 ports. So DB4, I connected this to, see, it gets highlighted. I connected this to the digital port 8 in the Arduino. See, it goes right here to DB4 and DB5. See, the connections are done behind the LCD because there's no place here. That's why I've done like that. And we have DB5. DB5 is connected to, let's see where it's connected. Yeah, this DB5. It goes to 9. DB6 DB6 goes to 10, and the last one DB7 goes to 11. So every component has a anode and cathode, right? So the anode part is connected to some resistor. So where is the resistor? Yeah, this is resistor. See, this is the anode part connected to resistor, and this is connected to power. So this is the power line. So when we want to connect any component or any wiring to power, you connect it in the row which says plus, and you need to connect the ground part which says minus. All the power to the 5 volts rated all the power wires to 5 volts and all the black wires to ground. See, initially I made these two connections. See, these connections. See, if I made these two connections, then all these ports are available for ground and power. And I also made these two connections. See, this and this. Now, this minus this plus and these both. I mean, these two columns are helpful to us in giving power and ground supplies. These two. So where were we? Yeah, LED anode, right? So LED anode, we want to connect it to power. So connected a resistor to it and directly to power. The LED cathode, which is the negative terminal, goes to, yeah, ground. And then comes the next important part. We are done with the LCD. This is the gas sensor. Gas sensor has 6 pins. 2 pins out of 6 pins are used for heating the sensing element for heating, and remaining 4 pins are used for either input or output. So here we are using analog input. So before going with the input or output, let's deal with the heating part. So this is H1, right? It says H1 right here. See H1, H2, heating pins. So H1, you can consider these are reversible actually. That's a good thing. So you can use one pin as an anode and other as cathode. That won't be a problem. So H1, you need to heat it. It's a anode. I consider this as anode. So it goes to power plus right here. This goes to minus. The other part is grounded. So we have connected the heating part. Now the one thing we are left with is analog thing. So we can use any of the remaining 4 pins. I used these 2 pins, the below 2 pins. See these two terminals. I use these two terminals right here. B1. I connected B1 to one of the analog pins, which is here. We have 6 pins, 6 ports. Sorry, I connected this to A0. You can connect this to any of the port. That won't be a problem. And the another one, I consider that as the cathode. So I grounded it, and I have done that with the help of resistor. You can do that here also. And I gave a sufficient higher value of resistance because this works on the base of semiconductors, right? So you need some higher resistance. And the remaining 2 pins can be left out, but I connected those to the power supply. That won't be a problem. So that's with the sensor connections. And then we have the buzzer thing. The positive terminal goes directly to one of the digital pin. So where is the digital pin? Yeah, digital pin 4. So we can connect this with the help of digital pin 4. If you set digital pin to 4 to high, it gives a buzzing sound. If no, it stays calm. And this is the negative terminal. I connected this to a resistor and to direct it to ground. If you don't do that, that won't be a problem. So that's it for the connections. So am I clear with the connections, everybody? Can I see something in the chat box? Okay, thank you. Can I start the coding part? I mean, if you have any doubts, okay. Okay, good. So let us start with the code right here. If there will be any problem here, let's go back to the sample project which I have created earlier. So in that we can do it in a more cleaner way. But this we have assembled it by hand right now. So we'll get an idea. Let's start code. So delete the whole thing. And yes, let's start.
Rohit, there's a doubt in the chat box.
Yeah, register. Okay. So register select we have connected to 5. See, register select we have connected to, where did I connect it? Yeah. This the whole thing is a mess. Yeah, to 5. So digital port 5. I have connected it to digital port 5. 5 digital 5. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's start coding part. So as I said, we need to make use of the LCD right here. So let's include the LCD part. We have libraries here. See, you can click include right here, or you can write this with your hand. I mean, you can type it, but all this you have some tools, keypad, and a lot of other projects. Yes. Now let's start the coding part. So this liquid crystal.h has the liquid crystal class called the liquid yeah, liquid crystal class, and we need to create an object of our own. Like yesterday we created my servo, right? Servo is a class, and my servo crystal is a class, and let's say my LCD or anything. Let's say LCD for simplicity. And yes, As in PPT, you have some couple of parameters right here. So first one is register select. So where is your register select? To pin 5. So next, where did our read rate go? Read rate is grounded, so we need not write this in our function. Pin. Where did our enable pin go? To 6. Great. And next we omitted all of this, and we have db4. So where did 4 go? To 8. So db4 went to 8. Yeah. Next db5. db5 went to 9. So 9. And db6 went to, yeah. Let's see, where did db6 go? Yeah, db6 went to 10. And db7, which is our final port, final pin, it goes to 11. So basically what I've done is, there's a liquid crystal, yeah, there's a mistake, I guess. There is a liquid crystal class inside the liquid crystal header file. So you want to access, this class has several functions. Like as I've shown you, what are the functions in the liquid crystal class? Print, write, clear, set cursor, home, and there are several functions. You can check that out in the Arduino documentation. So to access all the functions, you need an object. So this LCD is an object. So this liquid crystal function has this LCD object, and this takes some couple of arguments. I mean, how you made the connections, you are going to tell this function in the you know you can type in all the numbers based on the connections. First one is the register select, you connected to 5. Next one is the enable. If you connected read write, you can write that number here, but no, I grounded it. So this one is 6. This goes where? Yeah, this is enable pin. This is db4. db4 I connected to 8th pin in the Arduino. db5, db6, and db7. We have 1 2 3 4 5 6 parameters here. So yeah, this will be the LCD object, and to objects we give all our wiring information. So we created LCD object, and these are our information regarding the connections. We have supplied this in the form of a function. Done. So you can print something into the screen by saying LCD dot print, and the message LCD dot hello world, display message hello world here. And next we'll give the information about the LEDs. And let's say red LED. So where you have connected red LED? Let us see. This is our LED, right? So where did this go? This went right to pin 2. Okay. Red LED goes to 2. Yeah, 2. Green LED goes to 3, I guess. Yeah, 3. And our buzzer goes to 4. Let's say that's buzzer. Buzzer goes to 4. And what do we have? Our sensor. Where did we connect our sensor? To analog pin A0. A0. We're just telling the wiring to the Arduino system. And we also need a limit actually. Like we don't want this gas sensor to go on all the time, right? Only when we some toxic substance crossing some certain limit, then itself it should alert us. So let's create a limit so that after if the concentration crosses the limit, then we get an alert. So I used 400 in that sample. You can use any number thread, that won't be a problem. Let's use 300 for now, that won't be a problem. 300 is the concentration ppm. And then let's start with setup. We shall give all the pin modes here. Easy part actually. So yeah. So pin mode red LED 2 comma. This is 2, right? We're saying 2 comma. Yeah, it's 2. We want LED to pin mode green LED to output. We need a buzzer to output. Sound is an output, right? The sensor is an input, so make sure of that. Sorry. in mode. Sensor is an input, and we also are interested to print the concentration values into our serial monitor. So let's serial communication by calling serial.begin. Begin is an, so yeah. And what is the baud rate? 9600 by default. And we also are interested. See, we are left with the LCD. We are not doing anything with the LCD. So let's also set up the LCD. So LCD, if it's my LCD here, you write my LCD here, but it's LCD for now. Dot begin. We are setting up the LED. So the first argument, we will pass two parameters. First parameter is the number of columns. So by default, I mean, we can use any value. I want 16 columns. See, 16 columns vertically and 2 columns horizontally. And make sure, it's very important point, every column and row starts with 0. So 0 and 0 all the way till 15. If there are 2 rows, first row is 0th row, second row is first row, 0 and 1, 0 to 15. I hope that's clear. Fine. And then we'll go with the while loop. Yeah. And first thing we need to do, we need to read if the reading is dangerous. I mean, if the reading crosses our limit, and then we need to alert the whole room. If the reading is safe, if it's less than 300, then we need to be, we need to set it to calm down or to low. So it's quite obvious. So what we need to use here, obviously, if else statements. So first we need to read the value for that first. Int value equal to analog read. Yeah, analog read. And where is your sensor? Yeah, sensor. This is, so A naught gets substituted here. A naught gets substituted here. Yeah. And if that value is greater than 300, sorry, limit. I put that as limit, right? Yeah, let me bring it down. That value is greater than that limit. If the value is greater than limit, we will print that value actually. If the value is greater than limit, so it's a danger situation. So first we will make that glow. It's still right to glow. So where is red LED? Yeah, red LED too high. We need that to be high for a couple of seconds, right? Yeah, we will put it high. And if the green LED is on, we'll put it to low because it's not safe, right? We need it to be low. Yeah, low. And then we need to ring the buzzer. Actually, if you read digital, right, buzzer gives out sound with default frequency. There is a special function called tone, which takes in 3 parameters. One is where you have connected the buzzer to buzzer pin, which is 4. You give it buzzer C. So this can be any number. Let's give 500. You can give 1000. If you put 1000, it would give a very huge sound. And next we would give the number of seconds if you want to ring it for. Let's give it 1 second. You can give it 10,000 too for getting it for 10 seconds. And we want to ring this for after ringing, we need to set our LCD display. For setting up the LCD, we need to clear anything on the LCD screen before setting up the display. And we'll be setting, there's a set cursor option, set cursor function. Yeah, LCD.clear clears the LCD screen. LCD.set cursor, which means from where we want to write the giving 0, 1. 0 means column. So 0 column and first row. So from here I want to, so that's where 0, 1. Fine. So what message I want to print? I want to print alert message. Please evacuate the building. Or you can print danger here. Print, and we want this to be for only 1 second. So I'm giving 1000 milliseconds here, which is equal to 1 second. And after that, I'm going to print again evacuate. Actually, I'm going to create clear, and I'm to display another message. I want to clear this alert first. So a clear alert, and I'm setting the cursor to same place again. So this goes this controls, yeah, yeah. And now I'm going to display a different message, led.print. Yeah, led.print. This goes evacuate evacuate the building, very well. And again we have we can delay it for 1 second. So this the whole thing would be a loop. So we are done with it. What if the room is safe? So we took care of the case when there is a poisonous gas. So we need to take care of that in the else statement. So so whatever we have written here exactly goes here, but the whole thing goes reverse. So it will right. We need red LED to go low. So switch off the red LED. Will right. In case if I'm being just fast, I'll share my link to the project in the group, so you need not worry. So I want this to go high very well, and there are actually another special function actually, which is which means it sets the buzzer to off. You can also use digital write to off, but it's very easy method to do. So there is another function which means it sets this number to off. I mean, buzzer is connected to this pin, right? So no tone off 4. So set 4 to low. See, this is DB4. That is set to low. Fine. And then I want to clear the LED, because if there is anything already on the LED, I want to clear it, and I want to display a safe message, all clear message here. And I want to set cursor. Yeah, again. This time let's set the cursor to 0, comma 0. 0th column and 0th row. This is the 0th column. 0, comma 0. Very well. And again, I want to print safe actually here. Yeah, let's print. Yeah, where led dot print safe, done. And then again we need to give a delay. I want to display another message. You can leave it right here, but let's display another message. You can put this danger. You can evacuate, or you can write please leave. This is safe. And again, you can clear this again actually. Yeah, LCD dot clear. You can actually copy and paste it instead of typing it. That would be a problem. And LCD dot 0, comma 1. Now I want to go to 0th column and first row. So I'm going to give 0, comma 1 here. Very well. And again I want to clear the whole thing. I want to, yeah, I want to clear the whole, I want to print like safe and good morning, or let's all it to give 1 second. So we're done with the program, but one thing we have forgot is the serial communication. We have read the value into nlog read, but we forgot to print that. Say, let's print that quickly. Value. Let's make sure the code is right. If there's an error, we'll fix that. That won't be a problem. Let's start the simulation for now. We have some couple of errors right here. Yeah, pin mode was not pin mode was not declared in the scope. So yeah, I think this is O right here, right? Let's start again. Let's debug this code. Yeah, int LED was not O. So we have error in the 30-second line. We have the LCD. Yeah, we have given LED somewhere. So let's fix it. So where is that LED? Yeah, yeah. We have given LEDs here. So my bad. That would be we need to change everywhere. LCD actually confusion LED. Yeah, let's start again. Let's see. We'll have, yeah, we're left out with errors. Yeah, LCDs here. Fine. Yeah, I think there's a problem. See, it says immediately danger because we have set this value to, yeah, we have set this value to 300. You can change it actually to 400 so that immediately it may not give any error. And also you can decrease this resistance because if there is any the problem, that's it. And let's start the simulation. Yeah, now it worked fine. Stuff with the, and actually the main thing is, yeah, if you look at the code, yeah, change this value. So if I put in 300, it became too sensitive, I guess. So let me start the simulation. The LED glows green. We get safe and all clear. Now let's bring in some gas to it. But I take, it says safe. Yeah. So initially, when I switched on the simulation, the whole thing blowed up. It says danger because it detected even the slightest. See, you have the small cloud touching the sensor, right? So when I get 300, so this got alerted. So maybe the threshold should be more than 500 to make it work properly. And let's mess up with the serial monitor also. Let's see what's happening with serial monitor. So we have 370. 370 is less than 400. So that's why it says safe and all clear. And now if we bring in the gas closer, we are getting a value of 496 and yeah, let me take it back. Yeah, stop the simulation. As you can see, all these values are greater than 400. That's why it said danger. And so I'm done with the code and the project part. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the chat box. I'm handovering the session to Harshita. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. I hope everybody is here with the session. I think learning at least some new things gives a positive vibe. Sounds good, right? So, any other doubts, guys? In the meanwhile, let me update the chat box with the attendance form link.
Okay, want me to show the code? Okay, here's the code part. I'm going to share a link of my project in the group actually.
People are
Are you
asking
okay
to
with it?
show the code also.
Yeah. So share, yeah, I'll share the link of the project. And the project also includes the code, so don't worry. So is it okay? I'm going to share the, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. Guys, actually, I have to say this. You know what? Quite annoyingly, I don't know if people are really crazy. Few people are attending the sessions but not filling the attendance